the floor where they drop like bombs. Faceless voices running all the cons. Digital whispers in the binary night. No light, no face, pure sound, no sight. Stories unfold in the dark unscrolled. Echoes of silence, secrets untold. Waves crash loud in this audio cave. No mic, no fame, just the sound we crave. Tune and turn up, let the silence break. Raw, unfiltered, hear the earthquake. No mic needed, just a vibe that's real. Faceless words you can touch and feel. In shadows, voices untamed. No need for spotlight, no claim to fame. Just a beat of life in a stream of thought. Every word a punchline, no need to be taught. Just listen close, no visuals needed. Raw conversation, unprocessed, unseated. Feel the pulse in every sentence said. No distractions, just thoughts in your head. Whispers of the streets, rumbling through. Faceless yet vivid, a world in view. No mic, just souls, connecting in flow. Pure and raw, let the rhythm go.
We can set no limit to human potentialities. All that is best in man can be bettered. It is not a question of producing a highly efficient machine, but of quickening all the distinctly human features, all that is best in man, all the different qualities, some obvious, some infinitely subtle, which we recognize as humanly excellent. Ronald Fisher. Thanks for reading No Mic Podcast Scribed by Facelesslingjutsu. Subscribe for free to receive new posts and support my work. Sir Ronald Aylmer Fisher was a British polymath, renowned for his contributions to statistics, genetics, and evolutionary biology. He was a key figure in the development of modern statistical science, laying the foundations for many of the techniques used today. His work in genetics was equally groundbreaking, as he synthesized Mendelian genetics with Darwin's theory of natural selection, contributing significantly to the neo-Darwinian synthesis. Fisher's brilliance extended to various fields, leaving behind a legacy that continues to shape scientific practices and understanding. Ronald Fisher was born in East Finchley, London in 1890. His father was a successful businessman, but the family's fortunes declined when Fisher was still young. Despite having poor eyesight, Fisher excelled in mathematics, winning a scholarship to Harrow School and later to Gonville and Caius College, Cambridge. It was there that he became fascinated by evolutionary biology and genetics, which would become central to his later work. Fisher, his 1918 paper The Correlation Between Relatives on the Supposition of Mendelian Inheritance is certainly a strong contender. In this paper, he tackled the challenge of reconciling Mendelian genetics with the observed continuous variation in traits. He introduced the concept of variance and its analysis, laying the groundwork for quantitative genetics and demonstrating how natural selection could operate on traits influenced by multiple genes. This work was crucial in bridging the gap between early Mendelian genetics and Darwinian evolution, making it a foundational contribution to the field. Ronald Fisher's career was deeply intertwined with the Rothamsted Experimental Station, a renowned center for agricultural research. However, it's important to understand that Fisher wasn't involved in Rothamsted's founding. The station had already been established for over 75 years when Fisher arrived in 1919. He joined the research staff and quickly became a prominent figure, applying his statistical expertise to the challenges of agricultural experimentation. His work at Rothamsted was transformative, as he developed and refined statistical methods for analyzing crop yields, studying soil science, and addressing other critical agricultural issues. While he didn't create Rothamsted, his presence and contributions there were substantial, significantly shaping the direction of agricultural research and solidifying his reputation as a leading scientist. 1922 introduces inverse probability, a term he used critically, and the concept of sufficient statistic. 1922 introduces the concept of maximum likelihood estimation. 1924 first describes the F distribution and related F test, crucial for analysis of variance. Statistical Methods for Research Workers, published in 1925, was a watershed moment in the development of statistics. Ronald Fisher, already making waves in genetics, turned his attention to the practical needs of researchers struggling to make sense of their data. This book wasn't just a collection of formulas, it was a guide, a philosophy, and a call to rigor. Fisher introduced crucial concepts like maximum likelihood estimation, a way to find the most likely values for the parameters in a statistical model, and analysis of variance ANOVA, a powerful technique for teasing apart the different sources of variation in data. Perhaps most influential was his articulation of null hypothesis testing, a framework for scientists to formally test their ideas against the backdrop of random chance. Statistical methods wasn't just about crunching numbers, it was about designing experiments thoughtfully, interpreting results cautiously, and ultimately advancing scientific understanding. 1925, concept of sufficient statistic is developed. 1925, introduces the Fisher transformation. 1927, contributes to the Fisher, Tippett, and Co theorem. 1928, describes Fisher's geometric model of adaptation. Ronald Fisher's next major work, and arguably his most significant contribution to evolutionary biology, was the genetical theory of natural selection, published in 1930. This book was a monumental achievement, synthesizing Mendelian genetics with Darwin's theory of natural selection. Fisher provided the mathematical framework to explain how natural selection could drive evolutionary change, demonstrating how the inheritance of traits through genes could lead to adaptation and the diversity of life we see. He explored concepts like sexual selection, mimicry, and the evolution of dominance, providing a comprehensive and rigorous treatment of evolutionary processes. The genetical theory of natural selection became a cornerstone of the modern evolutionary synthesis, solidifying Fisher's position as one of the most important figures in 20th-century biology and shaping our understanding of evolution for generations to come. In 1932, he published a paper introducing Fisher's exact test, a statistical test for small sample sizes often used in contingency tables. He also held the Galton Professor of Eugenics at University College London from 1933 to 1943, a position that, while controversial in retrospect, allowed him to further explore the intersection of genetics and statistics. These years saw him consolidating his ideas on statistical inference and preparing the groundwork for his later work on experimental design. 1933 to 1943, Galton Professor of Eugenics at University College London, the design of experiments. While statistical methods gave researchers the tools to analyze data, the design of experiments went a step further, teaching them how to gather that data in the first place. Fisher emphasized the importance of careful planning, randomization, and replication to ensure that experiments were truly testing what they intended to test. He laid out principles for designing experiments that minimized bias and maximized the information gained. This book wasn't just theoretical, it was packed with practical advice and examples, drawing from Fisher's own experience at the Rothamsted Experimental Station. It became a cornerstone of experimental design across various fields, from agriculture to medicine, and continues to influence how scientific studies are conducted today. 1936, introduces Fisher's linear discriminate, a method for classifying data. 1937, describes Fisher's iris data set, a classic dataset used for demonstrating statistical methods. 1939, develops the concept of ancillary statistic. Ronald Fisher's work on the rhesus blood group system, a critical contribution to human genetics, took place in the 1940s. Specifically, in 1947, he published a paper titled The Rhesus Factor, a study in scientific method which detailed his analysis of the complex genetic inheritance of this blood group system. This work was crucial in understanding the causes of hemolytic disease of the newborn and laid the groundwork for preventative measures. 1947, publishes The Rhesus Factor, a study in scientific method. 1948, describes Fisher's principle relating to parental investment. 1950, first uses the term Bayesian critically. 1950, develops fiducial inference, a controversial approach to statistical inference. 1952, knighted, becoming Sir Ronald Fisher. Ronald Fisher's views on race are a complex and controversial aspect of his legacy. While he was a pioneer in genetics and evolutionary biology, his perspectives on race were rooted in the context of his time and are considered problematic by modern standards. Fisher believed that different human populations had inherent differences in their intellectual and emotional capacities. He expressed this view in response to a UNESCO statement on race in 1950, which asserted that race is a social construct with little biological basis. Fisher disagreed with this statement, arguing that human groups differed significantly in their innate abilities. It's important to note that Fisher's views were not aligned with what is now considered scientific racism. He did not advocate for racial superiority or discriminatory practices based on race. However, his belief in inherent differences between races contributed to the discourse on eugenics, which was prevalent in the early 20th century. We could point to Statistical Methods and Scientific Inference, published in 1956, not long before his death. This work is more philosophical and reflective than his earlier books. He revisits and expands on his views about the nature of statistical inference, the role of probability, and the philosophy of science itself. It's a more challenging read than his earlier works, as it delves into the foundations of statistical reasoning and addresses some of the controversies surrounding his approaches. 1958, Fisher's inequality is formally stated. Ronald Fisher's remarkable life came to an end on July 29, 1962, in Adelaide, Australia. He was 72 years old. Although he remained intellectually active and continued to contribute to his fields until his later years, his health had begun to decline. He passed away due to complications following surgery. His death marked the end of an era for statistics, genetics, and evolutionary biology, leaving behind a legacy that continues to shape scientific thought and practice. No aphorism is more frequently repeated in connection with field trials, than that we must ask nature few questions, or, ideally, one question, at a time. The writer is convinced that this view is wholly mistaken. Nature, he suggests, will best respond to a logical and carefully thought-out questionnaire. Indeed, if we ask her a single question, she will often refuse to answer until some other topic has been discussed. Ronald Fisher. Early 1900s, Fisher's interest in eugenics begins during his time at Cambridge University. In 1911, he becomes a founding member and chairman of the Cambridge University Eugenics Society. This reflects the widespread interest in eugenics during this period, which was considered a respectable field of study by many intellectuals. 1920s to 1930s, Fisher's views on eugenics become more prominent as he integrates his genetic and statistical knowledge into the field. He believes that intelligence and other desirable traits are largely inherited and that society should encourage the reproduction of individuals with these traits while discouraging those deemed less fit. He expresses these views in his writings, including the genetical theory of natural selection 1930. 1930s to 1940s, Fisher holds the position of Galton Professor of Eugenics at University College London from 1933 to 1943. This position, endowed by Francis Galton, a pioneer of eugenics, reflects the continued prominence of eugenics in academic circles. During this time, Fisher advocates for policies like voluntary sterilization for those deemed mentally defective and expresses concerns about the decline of the British population due to differential birth rates among social classes. Post-World War II, while eugenics falls into disrepute after the horrors of Nazi Germany's eugenic practices are revealed, Fisher does not entirely abandon his views. He maintains his belief in the heritability of intelligence and the importance of selective breeding, though he becomes less vocal about it publicly. Awards: Weldon Memorial Prize 1930, awarded for contributions to mathematical biology. Royal Medal 1938, awarded by the Royal Society for distinguished contributions to science. Guy Medal in Gold 1946, the highest award of the Royal Statistical Society. Darwin Medal 1948, awarded by the Royal Society for work of acknowledged distinction in the field of biology. Copley Medal 1955, the highest award of the Royal Society, given for outstanding achievements in any branch of science. Reference and citation: Box, J.F. 1978. R. A. Fisher, The Life of a Scientist. Wiley. Yates, F. and Mather, K. 1963. Ronald Aylmer Fisher, 1890–1962. Biographical Memoirs of Fellows of the Royal Society, 9, 91–129. Mackenzie, D.A. 1981. Statistics in Britain, 1865–1930, The Social Construction of Scientific Knowledge. Edinburgh University Press. Salzburg, D. 2002. The Lady Tasting Tea, How Statistics Revolutionized Science in the 20th Century. W. H. Freeman. Howe, D. 2002. Interpreting Probability, Controversies and Developments in the Early 20th Century. Cambridge University Press. Hald, A. 1998. A History of Mathematical Statistics from 1750 to 1930. Wiley. Edwards, A. W. F. 2004. R. A. Fisher on R. A. Fisher, The Life of a Scientist. Cambridge University Press. Provini, W. B. 1971. The Origins of Theoretical Population Genetics. University of Chicago Press. Crow, J. F. 1990. R. A. Fisher, A Centennial View. Genetics, 124 207 to 211. Crow, J. F. 1988. R. A. Fisher, A Memorial Tribute. Genetics, 118 369 to 371. Cavils, D.J. 1995. In the Name of Eugenics, Genetics and the Uses of Human Heredity. Harvard University Press. Bodmer, W. F. 2002. The Book of Man, The Human Genome Project and the Quest to Discover Our Genetic Heritage. Oxford University Press. Paul, D.B. 1998. Controlling Human Heredity, 1865 to the present.
Mics on the floor where they drop like bombs. Faceless voices running all the cons. Digital whispers in a binary night. No light, no face, pure sound, no sight. Stories unfold in the dark unscrolled. Echoes of silence, secrets untold. Waves crash loud in this audio cave. No light, no fame, just the sound we crave. Tune in, turn up, let the silence break. Raw, unfiltered, hear the earthquake. No mic needed, just the vibe that's real. Faceless words you can touch and feel. Hidden in shadows, voices untamed. No need for spotlight, no claim to fame. Just the beat of life in a stream of thought. Every word a punchline, no need to be taught. Just listen close, no visuals needed. Raw conversation, unprocessed, unseated. Feel the pulse in every sentence said. No distractions, just thoughts in your head. Whispers of the streets, rumbling through. Faceless yet vivid, a world in view. No mic, just souls, connecting in flow. Pure and raw, let the rhythm go. Pure and raw. Pure and raw. Turn up, let the silence break. Raw, unfiltered, hear the earthquake. No mic needed, just the vibe that's real. Faceless words you can touch and feel. Tune in, turn up, let the silence break. Raw, unfiltered, hear the earthquake. No mic needed, just the vibe that's real. Faceless words you can touch and feel. Pure and raw.
Okay.